There you go. We are live. Hello, everybody. Hi. So I'm just going to give a couple of seconds for people to get the notification that we're here and come on and see if anyone's going to come and join us. And I'm just going to remember to record the entire thing, she says.
Lots to answer,
Yeah, just figuring out where the record button is. Oh, there you go. Okay. So we'll just wait and see if anyone's going to jump on. I'm not sure. It might just be you and I having a conversation to ourselves, but I'm sure everybody will watch back later on in the day. There's probably lots
to catch up with quite a few of your things, but mostly I've had to do it on replay.
Yeah. You're juggling the kids.
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? Yeah. So this is another of my Creative Conversations series, a series I developed to explore women and their passions and their creativity and just chat to inspiring ladies, really, and find out what they've been doing and why they're doing what they're doing. And hopefully it'll inspire others to take the plunge and follow their passions or be inspired to try something new or try something they've not done before. So today's victim is Sonya from Adore Your Outdoors. And I'm not going to do much of an introduction because I'm going to hand over to Sonya and let her introduce herself. So Sonya, over to you. Introduce yourself.
All right, thank you, Victoria, and thank you for asking me to do this. It's very exciting. So I'm Sonya Dibbin, and I run Adore Your Outdoors. I help busy, anxious, and stressed out, mainly women, feel more grounded, positive, and able to cope by helping them connect with nature, which is proven to boost your emotional well-being. I also work with families, which I'm quite excited about, and I've only just started doing. So that's a relatively new thing that we got canned just as we locked down. And organisations as like either team building or employee wellbeing programs. And I only just set it up last year, so I'm still new to all this. I live in Winchester with my 4-year-old son, and he is as mad about nature as I am.
Yay, that's amazing. I absolutely love talking to Sonya about this because you'll soon realise her passion just literally oozes through, and she's so enthusiastic, and it just makes me feel so enthusiastic, which is why I invited her here, because I knew that anybody watching would just be really motivated by that passion. So I'm excited to explore some more. So tell me a bit about kind of how Adore Your Outdoors came about, because I know, because I've worked with Sonya on some aspects of her business, and for me, hearing how kind of the transition that you went through is fascinating, and I'll just share that with other people.
Yeah. So I used to work all my life. I've worked in IT and mainly male-dominated environments, very techie, logical, all of this sort of stuff. But I always had a passion for being a bit more creative, and I'm sensitive, my emotions are right there. They're always right there. And so while I was in IT, I studied therapeutic counselling and qualified that. So that was like 3 years of evenings, weekends, because I wanted to help people and I wanted to keep in touch with it. I was always off doing various different art things and all this sort of stuff. And I loved that. But I needed to balance it because of all the male stuff that was going on. And then I had my son and obviously had some maternity leave. And when I went back, I couldn't be the person that I'd been before at work. And it became very clear that wasn't, I wasn't going to go away for 2 weeks at a time and travel all over. And I also became very aware that nature was helping me heal. So obviously when you have a baby, you go through so much stuff. And, I was doing most of it on my own, actually. So I'm a single mum mainly. And so, it was quite hard. But what I was noticing was that taking Leo out in nature, we did it every day, regardless of the weather. It was like a promise I'd made myself. I noticed how I was starting to feel really amazing. Even when I wasn't outdoors, I was coming back in. I was like, why am I feeling so good? I'm knackered, you know, I'm struggling with all of this. I've got no help. Like, you know, this should be really difficult, but I'm thriving. And I started to look into it a bit more. And that's when I found out about nature connection, forest therapy, all these types of things. And I was like, oh, that's what's happening here. And then I was made redundant, so I was waiting for that really. And luckily, I got a little bit of a package with that, so that enabled me to kind of, you know, I took a month or two to think, am I brave enough to do this and follow my passion, or do I want to go back to working for someone else in an office doing something that, you know, I've done for 20 years, and having the headspace of a month or two to think. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. So I did it.
Yay. Amazing. I'm just, you know, just taking that leap is inspiring in itself, because, you know, other people in your situation, single mums or people being made redundant who thought they had a career path set out, might, you know, this is giving them that little bit of a nudge and motivation to say, you know what, you can take that leap, because the worst that can happen is that it just doesn't work as you think it was going to work. That's the worst.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I said to and I had that couple of months where I could just relax a bit, and I just thought, if I don't do it now, I'll spend the rest of my life saying, gosh, if only I'd have done that.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought I'd rather do it, and I don't know, after a year or two, it doesn't work out, something else changes, you know, whatever. At least I've experienced it, and obviously having done it, and you know, for a year or so, oh God, I've learned so much, and I've experienced so much of life that I wouldn't have otherwise experienced. So for me, it's like, just do it.
Yeah, I remember one of the first times I spoke to you, and you shared with me, and I just I hope you don't mind, or you'll have to share this, but you shared with me a bit about how you used to feel about kind of the great outdoors and going out in all weathers and things like that. And the difference now, like when you explained to me about that person, how you used to view going out in the rain and stuff, and seeing and knowing you as the person I know now, it just blows my mind that the two connect. So tell everybody a bit about the transformation that you've gone through.
Yeah. So I was brought up in a family of sun lovers, and if it wasn't sunny outside, the family were miserable, and it was a terrible way to grow up, right? Because it was just, you know, we live in the UK, so you know, there's no, you know, we were miserable quite a lot, and I just always thought to myself that, you know, that this is not right. So when I had Leo, I was absolutely determined that he would not have that. I did not want him to feel this, and I'm not saying that when it's a bit grey and that I don't feel a little bit different to when it's sunny. You know, I'm not. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be depressed about it and super low. And so, yeah, we went out in all weathers, you know, so I had to buy, because I never even owned waterproofs. And, you know, yeah, I'm the total opposite now. Now, when it rains, I'm like, yay, let's get our stuff on and go out puddle jumping and whatever, you know, go and look, because to watch the raindrops, I get a bit beardy weirdy, you know, but when you watch the raindrops out in nature and you watch them trickle onto leaves and then trickle down or go down bark or on the moss, or, you know, because you never stop to notice these things, it's absolutely mesmerizing, right? And some of the best sessions I've done have been outdoors in the rain. I've not actually done that many in the rain, but they're absolutely fantastic. So Leo and I just started it. I was determined to embrace it, and, you know, now he will say to me, "Oh, it's raining, Mum. Come on, let's go." You know, and it turns it into something fun. And I think because of where we live, that is such a gift to have given to my child. You know, that is like one of the things. You know, you've got a few things that you want to be able to give them, and that is one of the things I knew I wanted to give him.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's so amazing, because I just can't imagine you being anything other than the person that you are now. This is definitely your true calling. So I know that the question I'm about to ask you have a particularly lengthy answer, because I'm going to ask you to share a little bit of a potted history or a few words that explain the history of forest therapy or forest bathing. But I know Sonia's got a really good clip that explains it quite succinctly, and I'm just not technical enough to be able to share that clip during this session. But what we're going to do is put a clip in the comments that fully kind of succinctly explains the history and how this practice has come about. But just in your own words, I guess, Sonia, what do you kind of see as the evolution of this practice?
Yeah. Okay, so let's just, forest therapy, forest bathing, for me, the terms are interchangeable. I've gone with forest therapy because it removes the whole, do I have to go swimming thing?
Yes. That's just, sorry, that just makes me...
Yeah, but then other people don't like therapy. You know, they're, I don't need therapy. So it's sort of rock and hard place. But so nature connection is another one that I use from time to time. So it started as a practice actually in Japan 40 years ago. It's called Shinrin Yoku. And it literally translates as bathing your senses in the atmosphere of the forest. Forest bathing, forest therapy, etc. So, and it was introduced in Japan by the government because they had a massive stress pandemic because of the way that they were working. Everyone was working themselves to death, quite literally. Yeah. Because, you know, you get a sense of pride out there in that culture through work and all of that. Anyway, so they introduced this practice almost like on their NHS, and then they realised, oh, it's working. The stress levels are dropping and blah, blah. So it's sort of, that's where it started. And it's over there, they've got dedicated forests, which we're actually starting to explore now. It's amazing. So there's a couple of organisations that are working with the NHS and the councils in Surrey to actually dedicate certain spaces for this practice. So it is definitely coming. It is really coming.
Yeah.
But, and they've obviously been collecting evidence for decades, and it spans now across the whole of Asia, and it's just coming into the West, really. And yeah, we do 3 hours of two and a half to 3 hours of mindfulness and meditation work as a group or on your own, facilitated by me, the guide, to slow down and to turn this off, you know, and to start to feel and connect rather than thinking all the time. It's about feeling.
Yeah.
And kind of like a magical adventure, I say. And then towards the end of the session, I sort of bring people back into reality so that they can get in the car and drive or whatever that they've got to do. Yeah, I mean, it's unlike anything really that we've ever done before. It's completely different to a walk in the woods on your own with a dog, with a friend or whatever. It's and that's why the clip's quite good, because it shows the sort of thing you can expect on a session. Because at the moment, the question I get asked most of all is, do I have to go swimming? And I walk the dog in the woods all the time. I don't need to pay to go forest bathing. I'm already doing it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And I think anybody who is interested or is just kind of curious as to exactly what it is, definitely watch the clip. But from my own point of view, I've not had the opportunity yet to do a full session with Sonya, but it's coming once this whole lockdown allows. But I did have a session with her not so long ago doing her sensory activation, which is a kind of meditation that she does one-to-one via the phone or video call and in your own garden. And it was just amazing for me. I've not stopped seeing my garden in the way that I've been woken up to, because going through the steps with Sonya, she just kind of reintroduces you to the things in nature that you take for granted and you even forget to notice. And I can't not notice it, and I can't just walk past. I have to stop and look more, and then I show my kids and show my husband, because it's just like, it's like I've always seen it, but I haven't seen it. I can't recommend it enough doing that, because we're all feeling trapped in some respect in our own little space, so in our garden. But just to have someone show you the beauty, it doesn't feel like you're trapped in it anymore. It suddenly feels like a lovely little sanctuary that's got so much to offer me. So if you're wondering what you could do or something different, definitely give that a go. So then let's move on and talk a bit about kind of what do you feel is the number one benefit to people being out in nature?
So for me, you've just sort of described it in a way, funnily enough. So, it's so lovely to hear you say that. And that was after a 30-minute meditation that we did together, right? So you can imagine how it goes on a session. And then ideally you want to do once a month. And it's 2.5 to 3 hours once a month. It's not a massive time commitment, right? But what happens is you start to develop a connection to nature. And when I say nature, you also realize that we human beings are nature. And so what happens is as this connection and awareness deepens, you start to feel a sense of compassion. So what you've had after just one experience is you're kind of like the light bulb's gone on and you're thinking, ooh, or you're not maybe thinking, you may be feeling like, oh, there's so much more here than I ever realized before, right? And then that becomes deeper and deeper, and you start to develop this sense of compassion and kindness. And that's actually then radiates out to pretty much everything, right? So when I say the natural world, I mean your garden, your plants, bees, all of those things that are natural, but also each other. And that is the massive thing, isn't it? It's like where we had this problem with a lot of people feeling, not so great about others. Well, we're all human beings and we're all part of nature. Yeah. And the biggest gift, I think, and the biggest benefit is that there is a better way to heal some of the problems in the world. And a lot of it is we think it's all to do with all of this stuff that's going on in here, our mental well-being. That can all be healed through nature connection. Yeah. And it's right there, right now. And I can show people how to do quite a lot of it on their own. And as you say, I showed you in 30 minutes something, and you have then, that stayed with you, and you've shown your kids.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Especially, like I said, especially as this, at the moment, I was feeling trapped. I was feeling that my space that had always felt like my sanctuary, my safe space, was trapping me and making me feel kind of a prisoner. And just to see it in a different way and appreciate it in a different way has really changed how I feel about being in this kind of isolation, lockdown, whatever we want to call it. Yeah. So that's really fascinating. And like I said, I'll definitely be finding out more once I'm allowed out again. So tell us, this question makes me laugh because I've put down, let's talk about weather and how can we overcome the British attitude that we have to the weather? Because if we didn't talk about the weather, I think 99% of conversations between a lot of people would stop. Yeah. But I mean, I think you've kind of explained really well about your attitude to the weather. So I guess it's worth saying, does the weather affect whether or not your sessions can go ahead?
Yeah, so unless there's a massive storm and it's like genuinely unsafe to go into woodland, you would still go ahead with a session, because each season and each type of weather brings a different experience. When you're on the session, you're kind of in this zone, and the healing and the connecting to nature, and that is happening between the individual and the forest. I'm like a bridge, if you like, sort of enabling it to happen, right? But so it will. What I always say to people is you'll get what you need to get, and everyone has quite a different experience, even though we're going as a group through this journey. So sometimes doing it in the rain is amazing. You obviously do need to have appropriate clothing. So in the winter, people did get cold, because even when I was saying, bring a couple of extra layers, you'll get colder than you think you will, people still think, no, I walk in the woods all the time, I'll be fine. And it's not. We cover very little ground, and so you're quite often fairly still. So yeah, it goes ahead in most weathers. And one thing I would say is, so 30 Days Wild is running at the moment. It runs in June every year, and it's a Wildlife Trusts initiative. And that is kind of where I started 5 years ago with that, right? And it's running now. So if anyone's thinking, oh, I want to have a little go at something, but I can't get out to a forest therapy session just yet, or whatever. Then have a little look at the app, 30 Days Wild, and it's quite a cool app, and you can just slide through, and it's a challenge every day. Do something outside in nature. It can be little or small. So yesterday we looked up at the sky and we watched clouds for a little while, and we just really focused on those clouds. It's a very mindful exercise.
Yeah.
And that morning we've woken up to listen to the dawn chorus. Each of these small, tiny steps connect you more and more with it. So it doesn't have to be a big deal. It can just be something. Yeah. It can be something you do with your kids, which is
and I think, like you said, I'm really passionate about sharing some of these mindfulness, reconnecting with ourselves, and that kind of thing. Our kids need to take on board and learn some of these techniques, because the world they're coming to know is so technology immersed. It's so stressful. It's so fast paced. So definitely, if I've downloaded the app, so we will be having a look at that too. I'll let you know how we get on, but I definitely think it's something we need to start sharing with our kids.
It is, and
it's a life skill, really.
Well, it is, and if you think about it, we're only going back to how we used to be. What we've done is we've detoured a little bit too far away. Technology is great, isn't it? But we've gone a little bit too far. We just need to go back to our ancestral ways a little bit and start to reconnect. And I think people have a feeling of we're connected to technology all the time, but not to each other. We're disconnected as a species, aren't we?
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, and I think, this period of being in lockdown and things, so many people, I've noticed just around my neighbours, have started growing their own, even if it's just beans with the kids, or sunflowers, or it's that something as tiny as that, in a way, is just
a
great way of starting and showing your kids that connection.
It is, and exactly, it can be something small, but you trigger a little bit of curiosity, and those things are what those memories will stay with them more than the game they played or whatever it might be.
Absolutely.
Remember.
Absolutely, I hope so. So let's go and get a bit deep and talk a bit more about your kind of passion for this, and how what is it you're hoping, the change you're hoping to make in the world? Because we're all here, part of following our passions and following our dreams is that we hope that what we have to offer will make a difference. And so many women that I talk to, they choose a job or career or a business based on something they're so passionate about because they want to make a change. So what's your thing? What are you hoping to change?
So for me, it is a bit beardy-weirdy, because what I hope to change is that people come to understand this as a practice and something worthwhile, and it in itself solves a lot of the stuff that's going on at the moment. And so ultimately I want to get to a place where everyone is kind to each other, and I want to get to a place where people are no longer so stressed and anxious and overwhelmed and all the rest of it because they can't deal with stuff. I mean, life is going to continue, It's about having a coping mechanism, and one that's understood and valued. And I want to see my absolute, the creme de la creme is when I see a little kiddie stop as they're walking along and look at a feather or an ant or a snail or, whatever it might be, right? And you see the passion there in the child, and that really is what it's about. So it's two-part. It's about giving us ways of coping right now and learning to love our planet and how it can work in a way. We love our Mother Nature. She's going to give us so much love back. It's a reciprocal relationship. We can help each other, but also inspiring that younger generation, because at the end, they are our future.
Yeah. Agree, wholeheartedly agree. So last question, really, and our half an hour has gone so quick. I feel like I could talk about this with you forever. Our last question, and then I'll just ask, there are a few people watching, and I'll read some of the comments out to you at the end that have been going on while we're talking, and I'll also ask if there's any questions. But finally, just, you are a mum and you have a business, so share with us, how do you balance that motherhood and running, like following your passion and staying inspired?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, the 80-20 rule. So all my life I've been a perfectionist, and that meant I was very, very good at a lot of the things I've done. I'm now an 80% girl, and that is the best thing I've ever done. And it was a shift in here. It was like 80% is good enough. You do not need to achieve 100%, right? And that allowed me to let go of so much stuff, because things that I was like, oh, I haven't finished that, that's not ready, that's not ready. Oh yeah, they are, that'll do. And honestly, you do the bulk of the 80%, don't you, in 5 hours, and the next 20% takes 3 weeks. What a waste.
Yeah.
So honestly, that's my top tip. Go for your 80% and don't stress about the 20. And also, you know, be kind to yourself. Whoever said that women can have it all, right? I reckon that was a man that said that. Or a very well-intentioned female, right? But
no, you know, I totally agree with this. My grandma would say exactly the same. Those rules for women were written by men.
Yeah. So you can't have it all. You can't have a full-time career and be a full-time mum, because it's simply impossible. So what you can do is you can just be about 80-80 type thing and wiggle your way through.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about, like you said, it's about kindness. It's about learning first and foremost to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
And realizing that, you know, the way you would offer kindness to other people is how you need to talk to yourself. So
we're terrible at. We're really bad at that.
No, I absolutely agree. So I have loved speaking to you.
Thank you.
There's so much that Sonya has to offer, and if you are wondering, if this has piqued your interest and you're just wondering what this is all about, definitely watch the video that I'm going to share with you guys that's in the comments. But do get in touch with Sonya, drop her a message. Her Facebook page has lots of videos of her actually in practice, and also talking about what she does, sharing some looks at the actual woodland and the spaces that she uses. So there's some absolutely gorgeous.
And look at the testimonials, right? Because that's the thing, because people don't yet understand it that well, because it's quite a new thing over here. I think the testimonials are super powerful, because, you know, everyone just says, oh my God, I had no idea what this was going to be like, but, you know, and that's quite helpful.
I totally understand, because it's one of those things that's really hard for you to fully articulate what's going to happen, because it's a transformation that's personal. So what somebody feels isn't necessarily what the other person's going to feel, and so you can't always articulate it in clear. No. This is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to feel, kind of business speak, as we usually do. Yeah, so really that's another really top tip. If you're never sure what somebody has to offer, go and read their testimonials, because you'll probably get a much clearer understanding. So we've got some Amanda and Michelle and Alex are watching, and they're all saying everything that we've been saying. They've been saying this is so true. A lot of this recent stuff has been a lot of the stuff we were talking about has recently been discussed on Spring Watch, so they've already kind of got piqued their interest. If you're watching and you have any questions for Sonya, pop them in the comments. Even if you're watching back on replay, just pop them in the comments, because Sonya is in the group, so I know she'll pop back and check and answer any comments or questions that you have. But ladies who are watching, if you have any particular questions, now is your time. I'll give you a few seconds to type, because there's a bit of time delay on the comments coming up. So you're back up and running sessions now?
I am. So I'm so excited to do that. So yeah, I can have 5 clients on a session, so we can be 6 people. We are always socially distanced with 2 meters apart anyway, and it's non-contact. And
Sorry.
I'm super excited because the very first session that I put up has already sold out, so that's good.
Yay.
And yeah, I've got quite a bit of interest. So I've got Winchester, Basingstoke, Newbury, and Eastleigh coming up in June, July. So I've only put a few out there just to sort of see, because obviously a lot of people are still cautious. I'm still doing the one-to-ones, all the virtual on the phone, the 30 minutes like I did with you.
Yeah.
There's options.
And for anyone wondering, obviously it's the Sonya is sticking to the 6 people, so I guess it'll be you and 5 others in the group.
Yeah. Whereas normally it'd be about 10. But...
Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing all of those insights with me, and I hope that this conversation has left other people feeling inspired and motivated. And if you have a passion that you would like to share with the group, or with these videos get edited and uploaded onto my YouTube channel, so if you have something you'd like to share, then do put yourself forward. I'd love to chat to more of you. Have a lovely rest of your day, Sonya. And everybody's saying thank you, and that this was really, really insightful. So thank you for sharing. Take care.
See you later. Bye now. Bye.